I want you to try and think back to the COVID-19 pandemic for a second.
Oh, man, yeah.
Right. When the entire world just suddenly ground to a complete halt. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't just because of the virus itself.
No, not at all.
We literally ran out of tiny, invisible computer chips. I mean, factory shutdowns, massive shipping delays. It just completely exposed this massive vulnerability.
Yeah, the whole global supply chain just froze up.
Exactly. We realized, wow, our reliance on an Asian semiconductor supply chain, especially with, growing geopolitical tensions, is a huge problem.
It was a wake-up call for sure.
A massive one. So today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating source from the Fulton County Center for Regional Growth. It's dated August 2026.
It's a great report.
It really is. And our mission today is to figure out how New York State is quietly transforming itself into the nation's semiconductor highway. Like, we want to know exactly what it takes to build a $100 billion ground-up industrial ecosystem.
Because it's not easy. It's a massive, massive undertaking.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this, because this didn't just happen by accident, right? The federal and state legislative push behind this boom is just staggering.
Yeah, it's a completely unprecedented injection of capital. You really have to look at the 2022 Federal CHIPS and Science Act first.
Which was huge.
Huge, like $53 billion, huge. The whole point was to bring semiconductor manufacturing and research back home to the U.S.
Right.
But, what's really interesting is that New York didn't just wait around for that federal money to trickle down.
They took it into their own hands.
Exactly. They passed their own legislation, the Green CHIPS legislation, which added another $10 billion in state incentives.
$10 billion just from the state. That's wild. So they set the legislative stage. The political theory is there to bring chips home. But let's move to the physical reality.
Right. What's actually happening on the ground?
Yeah, because reading through this source, the investments happening right now are just astronomical.
Oh, the scale is hard to even wrap your head around.
It really is. The report notes that $123 billion has been pumped into New York's semiconductor industry over just the last 3 years.
$123 billion.
Yeah. And the crown jewel of all this is obviously the Micron megafab in Clay, New York.
Oh, absolutely. That project is historic.
It is. It's a $100 billion investment over 20 years. And it's slated to create 9,000 direct, high-paying jobs?
Yep, 9,000 direct, and then they're projecting another 40,000 community jobs on top of that.
Which totally transforms a region. But the sheer scale of the buildings themselves? I mean, Micron is building 600,000 square foot clean rooms.
The largest clean room space in U.S. history.
Right. And for you listening, I really want you to try and visualize what a 600,000 square foot clean room actually is, because it's not a warehouse.
Not at all.
It's roughly the equivalent of stacking 10 NFL football fields inside a completely dust-free, hyper-controlled bubble.
Which is mind-blowing engineering.
Right. Like, not a single speck of dust can get in. And it's not just Micron. GlobalFoundries is expanding too, right?
Yeah, GlobalFoundries, or GF. They are putting $11.6 billion over 10 years into an expansion down at their Fab 8 site in Malta, New York.
Okay, so another 358,000 square foot facility.
Exactly. The physical footprint of this industry is just exploding across the state.
But I have to push back here a little bit, because throwing $100 billion at a single town sounds amazing on paper. But doesn't dropping a mega facility into upstate New York just, create a logistical nightmare?
Oh, completely.
Right. Like, where do they get the materials to actually run it? You can't just parachute a megafab into the middle of nowhere and expect it to have the supply chains it needs.
You're completely right. And if they just let the free market handle it, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
The infrastructure would bottleneck instantly.
It would just collapse under its own weight.
Exactly. And that's why the state realized they couldn't just fund the buildings. They had to create a whole new bureaucratic system to manage it.
Which brings us to GoSemi.
Right. The Governor's Office of Semiconductor Expansion, Management, and Integration. Governor Kathy Hochul created it in 2023.
Okay, so what exactly do they do? Because the source talks about their executive director, Meredith Andrucci.
Yeah, and her core philosophy is really key here. She says, and I'm quoting, "It's not about building one big project here and there, but building a robust and resilient semiconductor ecosystem."
An ecosystem,
Yeah.
not just a building.
Right. Because to get those massive state incentives we talked about, giants like Micron and GF are actually required to ensure a certain percentage of their business goes to small and local companies.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because GoSemi kind of acts like like a concierge-style service.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like an elite wedding planner coordinating a $100 billion wedding. They have to make sure the caterers, which in this case are high-purity gas suppliers,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And the venues, like the warehouses, are all totally in sync.
They connect these small companies with Empire State Development Resources.
The ESD.
Yeah. So they use funding programs, like there's this $200 million Fast NY shovel-ready grant.
Which prepares the land, right? Gets the power and water ready so companies can just build.
Exactly. And then they have these 2025 programs that literally help small businesses get their legal and accounting stuff in order so they can actually become certified suppliers for these massive tech giants.
But wait, let me ask you this. With 16 years of ongoing construction scheduled just for that Micron site alone, how do local mom-and-pop construction or, logistics companies actually compete with massive national contractors for these bids?
Well, that's the whole point of GoSemi upgrading them. But to answer how they fit into the bigger puzzle, the state relies heavily on geographic diversity.
What do you mean?
Like, this isn't just happening in one single city. It's this strategic web spread across the entire state. Andrucci actually calls the I-90 corridor a semiconductor highway.
A semiconductor highway. I like that.
Yeah, and the federal government sees it too. In 2024, the U.S. Department of Commerce designated the NY Smart I-Corridor Tech Hub.
Okay, and where does that stretch?
It spans Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Ithaca, Auburn, and Batavia.
Wow, so that's a huge chunk of the state.
It is. And it's actually the nation's only end-to-end semiconductor industry tech hub.
Wait, really? The only one?
The only end-to-end one, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it covers everything from research to manufacturing. You've got the Albany Nanotech Complex on one end.
Right, run by NY Creates,
Hmm.
which the report says is the nation's largest nonprofit semiconductor R&D facility.
Exactly. So you have the R&D, and then you have the manufacturing at Micron and GF. And the geographic strategy is to purposefully locate the suppliers right in between them.
Okay, so the chemical manufacturers, for example.
Yeah, Andrucci explains that they will set up in rural communities right in the middle of the state, so they can easily service both Micron near Syracuse and GF in Malta. It's purely logistical.
I get the logistics of putting a chemical supplier right between two megafabs. Makes total sense on a map. But I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
Does a quiet rural community actually want an industrial chemical plant moving in next door? I mean, even if it brings jobs, that completely changes the identity of a town.
What's fascinating here is how the state has to balance those exact local interests with these massive regional economic booms.
Because it's not always an easy sell, right?
It's not. But a lot of these rural towns have lost their historical manufacturing base over the decades. They need a structural economic lifeline.
So they might be more willing to accept the industrial zoning than we think.
Exactly. And that brings us perfectly to this specific community the source focuses on, which is Fulton County.
Right, Fulton County, which is prepping hard for this exact boom.
They really are. They sit perfectly in what's being called the nanotechnology triangle.
The nanotechnology triangle. So that's Micron on one side, Global Foundries on the other. Who else is in there?
You've got Wolfspeed in Utica, and then NY Creates in Albany. Fulton County is right in the middle of all of it.
And Ron Peters, the president and CEO of the FCCRG, he's quoted in the report saying they have shovel-ready sites ready to respond to any semiconductor RFP.
They are heavily marketing themselves to this supply chain. But it's not just land they have to offer. There's a massive, often overlooked resource required for chips.
Water.
Yes, tons and tons of water.
It's crazy. Fulton County can offer a staggering 10 million gallons of water per day.
10 million gallons.
Yeah.
Every day.
Plus excellent power capacity. So what does this all mean? I think a good analogy for you listening is that water and power are to semiconductors what flour and ovens are to a bakery.
That's spot on.
Right. Like you literally cannot make the product without absurd amounts of both.
You can't. The wafers have to be washed constantly in ultra-pure water. But physical resources aren't enough. You can have all the water and power in the world, but you also need human capital.
The workforce.
Exactly. And that's where Fulton Montgomery Community College comes in.
Okay, what are they doing?
They are creating highly specific micro-credentials and degree programs that are tailored exactly for these incoming companies.
So not just general engineering degrees.
No, like rapid training for the exact machines these fabs use. And to sweeten the deal, there's a 2025 New York law that provides massive tax credits for this.
How massive?
Up to 75% of employee wages, training, and wraparound services. Up to $25,000 per employee. just for on-the-job training.
Wait, 25 grand per employee?
Yep.
Does this effectively mean the state is just paying companies to build their own custom workforces from scratch?
Pretty much. Because if they don't, the workforce won't exist. And if the workforce doesn't exist, the whole $100 billion bet fails.
Wow. Okay, so when we step back and synthesize all this, what started as a global supply chain crisis during COVID has totally catalyzed New York. They are building an entirely self-sustaining ecosystem.
It's incredible to watch.
It really is. It's not just about one tech giant getting a tax break anymore. It's about aligning, community colleges, local construction crews, rural chemical suppliers, and these massive fabs all along a single highway.
And this is why it's so relevant to you, the listener, even if you don't live anywhere near New York.
Why is that?
Because this nano corridor is the new blueprint. It is exactly how the United States will attempt to rebuild its domestic manufacturing power in the 21st century.
By building these hyperdense, self-contained corridors.
Exactly.
Which leaves you with one final kind of lingering question to mull over. If New York actually pulls this off, right, if they successfully create this massive enclosed ecosystem for semiconductors, will other states try to replicate this exact hypercorridor model for other critical industries?
Oh, absolutely. Think about renewable energy or pharmaceuticals.
Exactly. Are we moving toward a future of highly specialized single-industry megastates rather than a unified, spread-out national supply chain? It's definitely something to think about.
It's going to change the map completely.
It really is. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.